Woo-wee! We are back on our backyard channel. Let's see who's in here. Uli, just me, Magoo, Sonia, Pat K. Woo! We got 18 people in here. That's a lot for this channel. And let me tell you what, I love it. I feel like deep breath, deep breath. By the way, look at that picture of Brooks there on the screen. That's Brooks circa 2015. Check that out. I haven't aged at all. Actually, I have. All right. How many of you have seen the movie The Blind Side? I'm sure many people. I mean, it made like $330 million. Trev said, I'll be in and out. I texted you. Thank you, Trev. $330 million. We were under the impression that they saw Michael Oher walking down the road. Now, mind you, Holly Weird does all kinds of weird stuff. And they will sensationalize and they will, flat out lie about real people's lives. They are the original tragedy pimp. But you don't hear the glare talking about them. Well, Michael Oher found out in February that he wasn't adopted. That what he signed was a conservatorship. Now, interview after interview after interview after interview since 2009, we have heard that he was adopted. But that's not the case. My question is, why did this couple get their friend, who's an attorney, to draw up conservatorship papers before he'd even gone to Ole Miss? Why? The first time I saw the movie, I was kind of pissed. I said, are you kidding me? I said, several at-risk teens are in Memphis on the streets, but they happened to find the boy that was being scouted by major colleges, and they happened to find the boy walking down the street that was NFL bound and went first round. That's who they found? He made no money from The Blind Side, according to him. There would be no movie without him. And the Toohey family negotiated everything on his behalf. Nobody was going to make a movie about their Taco Bell restaurants. Nobody gives a shit. But it was the feel-good story. They're still getting royalties from the movie. And again, without him, there wouldn't be a movie. There wouldn't be a movie. Whew. Make it make sense. He's 37 years old now. And I loved when Sean Toohey spoke out yesterday and he said, well, if he wants the conservatorship to end, we'll just let it end. Why did you have it in the first place? He's not your child. You did not adopt him. I get you can't adopt someone at 18 years old, but he was with you before he turned 18. Let's just start with this. The real This Is Us family. You're gonna barf. And you know what? My opinion here doesn't really matter. I want to know what you guys think. Did they take advantage of him or not? I have a feeling when he got married, old girl said, hey, you know that white family that adopted you? What are they doing with your money from that movie? Don't think that when my husband gets paid on Friday, I don't say, hey, where the hell's the money? Lisa says, you can adopt an adult in their state. Well, they didn't do it. And their excuse is because he was 18. He was with them before he was 18.
They are the real This Is Us. The Tuohys, a white Memphis family. They adopted Michael Oher in his teens. Oher became one of the most famous offensive tackles in the NFL. I got to sit down with Leanne Tuohy about how the NBC hit has put her family's message back in the spotlight.
I mean, you can mother a lot of things that you didn't birth.
She's the real deal, played by Sandra Bullock on the big screen.
What?
Never had one before.
What, a room to yourself?
A bed.
The 2009 mega hit The Blind Side, based on Leanne Tuohy's family, put interracial adoption front and center.
Look at him, Beck. Place right there, right next to ours.
And now, 9 years later, the small screen put that message back in the mainstream.
Every single episode that comes on, my phone and my social media blows up.
NBC's This Is Us, about a white family adopting an African-American son.
And that stranger became my child. And that child became my life.
It has scarily paralleled our journey, and it's very interesting. And it's not just our journey. There are so many people that are on this journey. Ours just happens to be the one that, got told.
And for some of you, it's a journey you want to be on too. Lindsay Dorr posted a question for Leanne on my Facebook page. What would you tell a young mom considering foster care?
You have to work at it, and it's 6 steps up and 7 steps back. But tell me what isn't. I mean, your biological kids, it's that way every day. I have 2 and 4 the 7 days a week. I want to slit their throats.
Leanne's message has always been, families don't have to match.
We want to know if you would like to become part of this family.
And any fiction that can inspire reality means changing lives for the better.
The whole this.
Okay. So in the movie, Sandra Bullock, I'm kind of pissed at Sandra Bullock. No, not really. We want to know if you want to become part of this family. They bought him a truck, the whole 9 yards. They said they adopted him. Little did he know what was put in front of him was conservatorship papers. And let me tell you something. He would have still gone to the NFL without them. I'm telling you right now, he would have. He knew how to read. He knew how to write. Very intelligent. When this grown man went to the NFL, people were like, hey, man, that's crazy. Those white people picked you up and taught you how to read. And he was like, I already knew how to read. He would have gone to the NFL regardless. A talent like that, and I'm not saying he's the best in the NFL or the best that's ever happened, but a talent like that did not go unnoticed. Again, you're in Memphis, Tennessee. It's the most dangerous city in the country. And you just happen to pick up a first-round draft pick and he signs a conservatorship? Miss me with that shit.
As us, I think it's impacted people. As I told them, it's impacted people in ways you will never know. You hear some of the stories, but you'll never hear all of them. And I just think that is such a blessing in a million ways.
She's a neat woman. She tells it like it is. The Tuohys, they created the Making It Happen Foundation. It helps underprivileged kids. The slogan, I mentioned it in my story, families don't have to match. There's Leanne and her daughter Collins wearing it. But Leanne says a bunch of the cast members and producers of This Is Us have been calling the Making It Happen Foundation, asking for these because they want to sport them. And then we have another shot we're going to pull up here. The music producer from This Is Us, he just posted this on Instagram recently in the shirt, just talking about adoption and foster care and how great it is.
I just wonder if this is...
Adoption and foster care is extremely great, but something is not good in the hood here. Well, hello, Pat.
Hi there. Hello, everyone.
Did you get a present in the mail today?
I did. Thank you so much. I just started reading it, but then I got caught up in this, so I had to put it down. But I already want a Morganza cake because it's about some little county in Louisiana that's named. They have their own cake and it's chocolate with drizzled stuff. Oh my God. That's the first 3 pages.
Louisiana should be their own country. They have their own culture. It's crazy. Yeah, I'm trying to get Pat to come down to the US. My son and daughter-in-law. Sorry, guys, this is the sub channel, so we can get off topic all we want. There's only a few of us in here. Anybody that wants to grab the link, we'll just have us a dumpster fire like Queen Bee does. My son and daughter-in-law went down there, and we've been through Louisiana many times. And they took the whole Cajun tour and loved it. Loved it.
I don't know if I'd feel comfortable in a canoe where alligators are surrounding the canoe, but you never know. Hey, you know, I've done other weird things, so that's cool.
Oh no, we're going to be on one of those fan boats with an open bar. Okay, so back on topic. What do you think about this situation with Michael Oher? Oh, Trev's coming up. Hello, Trev. And how instead of being adopted, he's signed a conservatorship, and they've been controlling his contracts, his money, and everything. And now he's 37.
That's heartbreaking. I saw that movie a few times. I even have the DVD. I still have it. I love the movie, and it, like you said earlier, it was such a feel-good movie. It's like, oh my God, those people are wonderful. And now, and the whole thing of conservatorship is like, why would they do that? I don't understand. You can still adopt after 18. You can. And some people do it for legal reasons, for like leaving their estate, they're adopted. You know, and that's, I think, why some people do it after 18. But they didn't have to go conservatorship. No. And why would you? And in the application to dissolve the conservatorship, it says Michael was found to have no physical or mental impairments. No, so there's nothing wrong with him.
He's a very talented man. Now, Britney Spears, I understood that conservatorship, and I wasn't part of the Free Britney thing, because I was like, no, somebody needs to watch after her.
Yes.
Okay, yep. Somebody needs to watch after her. Michael, though, he didn't need them. I mean, I'm sure having his own bedroom and getting a new truck and everything was great, but it seems like now, from what our vantage point, it seems like they had an ulterior motive with him. Like they knew that he was being hunted by these big universities. Trev, your turn.
Yeah, see, that's the big thing. It's just, why lie? Like, you make yourself out to be this like super gracious couple of reaching your hand out for somebody who needed it, but you completely lied. And then they make it seem like they basically put him where he is. Sure, the things they did for him helped. I mean, like you said, having a bedroom, a new vehicle, those things don't hurt. But to become a first-round draft pick, you have to be the one that did that. Nobody can make that for you. I mean, it is insanely hard to get in the league at all. And to be one of the first 32 draft picks, you have to have worked your whole life for that.
And he did. I mean, when he was in second grade, he was making insane football plays. They didn't know him then. The only reason he went to that school, he was taken from another school and said, we're going to put you over here to play football. They didn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And how heartbreaking when he found out. If he just found out in February, like that's what the petition says. So imagine how heartbreaking. He thought he was adopted and he wasn't.
We had to find out that these people you thought were trying to, be your family and give you a family turned out to be the people that did this instead.
Took your rights away. That's basically what the conservatorship does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's heartbreaking. That's what gets me the most, aside from the money. That's what gets me, is how he must have felt when it's like, well, no, they said they adopted me. Well, no. It's horrible.
My boys used to get so mad at me because I would make fun of this movie, even though I liked the movie. Because anytime we would see a kid outside, I'm like, well, let's go ahead and pick them up and adopt them. Maybe they'll be a first round draft pick. This is horrible. Could you imagine me saying that, Pat?
Yes, I could. But I would, that's my sense of humor as well.
Mhm.
You know, it is, but that's because we thought he was adopted. I'm just like, I'm heartbroken for this guy. You know, after, especially with the life he had. And then in the movie, wouldn't the parents have had some say about things that were put in the movie? And there they are sitting at the kitchen table. Oh, we'd like you to become part of this family and we're going to adopt you. And that's all bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's no.
Well,
That's
they did say that to him, but I mean, he doesn't exactly have legalese, so he didn't know that what he was signing was a conservatorship for them to make decisions on his behalf. They're the ones that negotiated the whole Blind Side. They did the book, then they did the movie, and he didn't like how he was portrayed in it. He said, it's one thing me walking down the street, but he was like, well, you know, what are they talking about? I couldn't read and write, and that I had to have a tutor, and that she had to come out on the field and work with me. He's like, none of that ever happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he threatened years ago. He threatened years ago to write a book called You've Been Blindsided, because he just didn't like, here he is, a big old football player with extreme talent. You can be good in football. You can be great, but you have to be excellent / awesome to get into the NFL. It's like a gladiator sport.
Yeah.
He was a unanimous All-American. Like, to reach that, I mean, that's the highest in college that you can get besides literally winning the Heisman. And you're not winning the Heisman as an offensive lineman. But if you're going to be a unanimous All-American, I mean, you've made it. I mean, you've worked your butt to the very top.
Yeah.
And he didn't do that by sitting around with Kathy Bates trying to learn 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
Like they portrayed in the movie.
Yeah.
All right. So this is Leanne Toohey when she gave a speech at a place in Cleveland where she was trying to, you know, uplift people, and spoke about how she met Michael, which, by the way, turns out to be a lie.
We were all going for a home-cooked breakfast on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and we drove by Michael, and, you know, it's become this urban legend, like it was this blizzard. It was slightly chilly. It was like 48 degrees. For you guys, that's like bathing suit weather. And one of the kids in the back seat said, oh, we drove right by Michael, and they said, that's the new guy in school. And as this mother, every warning bell in my head kind of went off. I was like, what's going on? So here's this large African-American young man in a lily white neighborhood. He's inappropriately dressed for the weather. It's a holiday. I was like, what's the deal? And so I turned to my husband and I said, turn around. I did not put that in a questioning form. Bo Duke had nothing on him, honey. He whipped that car around in 2 seconds, and we pulled up next to Michael. I got out of the car just like the movie showed, and I said, hey, I'm Leanne Toohey. My kids go to school with you. I said, where are you going? School. It's okay, here's the deal. I'm going to give you 3 boxes to check. School would not be one of them. It is a holiday. School is not open. I said, why are you going to school? I'm just going to shoot some hoops. Michael's a great basketball player. I said, no. I said, that would be breaking and entering. So I said, here's the deal. You can go eat with us. We will take you home, or we will take you somewhere else. But going to school or staying here are not 2 of your options. You wouldn't even look at me, wouldn't look up. I said, excuse me, I am talking to you. I said, you need to make a choice. I said, why don't you go to breakfast with you? No. He said, can you take me to an express bus stop? I said, certainly I can.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not true?
Not the way she said it. Not the way she said it. And here's the thing. Sean and Leanne, they live in Memphis. Okay, they actually live over in Germantown, which is a really nice suburb of Memphis. Okay, so there are many people in Memphis, teenagers especially, that could use a warm meal. So you're telling me that's what I said when the movie came out. I'm like, so they just happened to come across the new kid in school who's an all-American?
Yeah, I never thought that.
Well, you wouldn't because you were born in August. We did that on the birthday.
I thought it was just like fate. Like, oh, isn't that wonderful? Yeah.
It seems like they knew that the kid was at school, and I think they tracked him down. I truly do at this point. What do you think, Trev?
Yeah, I mean, they made it seem like a storybook type of thing, and that's when you get people not to believe you. Like, just be honest. If you were going to do a good deed and just do it honestly, if that's what you were doing. But don't be like, it was a cold winter day, and the windshield wipers were barely working. I peeked through the mirror, and there was a child standing in the snow, shorts and a t-shirt, crying. I rolled down the window, jumped out of the car. Like, stop all that.
Yeah.
I think they sought him out. I just thought something was weird from the beginning. I'm like, so you don't even know anything about this kid, but you want to pick him up and not protect your children and bring him in your house. Why? Because I'm telling you right now, I love children, but I would never do that. I would never put my family at harm. You know, that's the reason I get after Kathy all the time about why did you let Candace surround your granddaughter?
Yeah.
Or Daisy. I'm like, why do you let Candace around your grandson? You don't know what you're bringing in your house. I think somebody in that family, whether it was Sean, Leanne, or the both of them together, already knew. So this is a taste of Memphis. This is what they're trying to sell us, okay?
Well, real quick, why isn't your question also, where are your parents? Like, who just goes and picks up a kid and says, you're coming home with me? Like, you know, legally, that's a little bit of kidnapping. Like, I mean, where are your parents at? You know, who do you live with? Like, you know, is somebody, where's like the guardian in your life? Not just hop in the truck, let's go have dinner.
Yep, good point.
No shit. Good point, Trev. You don't just pick up some random kid and say, I'm going to go and feed you and take you back to my house. That's called kidnapping. Gotta be kidding me.
We covered too much true crime not to see right through this.
You're better at it than me, Trev. So this is the real Memphis. It's the most dangerous city in America. But they just happen to find the diamond in the rough, which they say that they educated him, developed his talent, and that is not true.
Every day. Let me tell y'all something. My name is Coach McKinnon in Memphis, Tennessee. When you come to Memphis, you definitely gonna see me. Two things I do: I barbecue and box. Fuck with me wrong, you gonna get your ass rocked. Yeah. Now I got a barbecue truck right here on the corner of Bill Street in Maine. My food so good, make your tongue slap your brain. See, I'm gonna give you your feel, cause it's God's will for me to give you a good meal. Don't go nowhere, so cheat yourself. Come to Oink and move, take a step out like that.
Shit. Look at this guy. You got some energy. You got energy.
Now look here.
Yeah.
Don't shoot.
Yeah.
Put up them dudes.
Yeah.
If we can't get along, let's get it on. Y'all might not realize this, but I'm a Bible believer. Bible. Basic instructions before leaving Earth. We are a family of humanity. Put my brother in a freezer, put me in a fire. Mexicans and Chinese gave a little freeze their fire. We're a family of humanity. So I ain't gonna shoot my brother, but I will whoop that ass.
Yeah. But be honest, you think you have a chance? You have a chance against me?
You gonna leave me hanging, bro? I have his ass running, rubbing, and looking back, y'all.
You don't with a man that wears pink shoes, my brother.
I love you, man. You my brother, man. Hey, y'all, this a big dog chain. Who?
Show us the meat distributor.
Man, that's
wait a second.
I walk by and
You're gonna show a vegetarian.
I'm gonna show a vegetarian.
Yeah.
Hey, I wasn't born a vegetarian. You weren't born a vegetarian?
So he said there's a possibility you could.
It's a possibility I can turn you back.
You could turn it back.
Hey, we can try.
Let's see.
Let's try.
Let's see.
This the owner right here.
Yeah.
What's going on, man? And the chef.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Wagon Wheel Barbecue.
He walked out.
Let me tell you something right now. The barbecue in Memphis is scrumptious. When you go through Memphis, Trev, do you get the barbecue?
I have, but I will say there have been 2 cities I visited, and I haven't been everywhere, but I've been from here in between all the way up to Boston, to Texas, and to Florida. So anywhere in that area, there are 2 cities I've felt scared for my life, and that would be Memphis and Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh.
It's bad.
Yeah, Louisville's pretty bad. St. Louis is nothing to sneeze at. Chicago, there's areas you don't want to go through. But I'm telling you, Memphis takes the cake. But I tell you what, they've got great food, not going to lie. Pat, do you like barbecue?
Yes, I do. Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
We got some beans with rib tips in them. Damn.
Haven't been to Memphis, though.
Just wear your Kevlar vest if you're going to go get some barbecue.
No, I guess I wouldn't go if it's so bad. Went to New Orleans before Katrina.
Well, it was safe when Elvis was alive because he had so much protection around him. You know, that's where Graceland is.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know,
Yeah.
MLK got shot there. They have the Civil Rights Museum.
Oh. Yeah, Lone and me were on about the
Tin
history
Roof,
last night.
a live music joint. Pee Wee Saloon. Presume Elvis was here at some point. Daisy? Yeah, what's happening, Daisy? I'm here in Memphis for about another hour. What should I see? Oh, maybe I can see that guy. He's stuck. This is the old Daisy. It looks like this across the street is the new Daisy. So walked end to end on Beale Street. So now I'll cross up and walk from that side and walk back down. Yeah, don't get killed.
Yeah. We're on vacation. We don't want to. Oh, I love your beard.
Thank you. Drive from Memphis to New Orleans is approximately 4.5 hours. We're going to start in that direction, but I doubt we're going to make it today. We've already been driving half of the day. Stop somewhere in Mississippi along the way, find a hotel or motel for the night, edit the video, continue on tomorrow morning to New Orleans. So that's just the beginning of our trip. We still want to make it to Philadelphia, Chicago, New York, Detroit, possibly Houston. So if you're just checking in for the first time now, there should be a lot of new content coming very soon from across the U.S. Damon and I are not on a vacation. We're on a work mission to create as deep content as possible, showing you guys part of the world or these tourist destinations that in the locations that normal tourists don't travel to. Live entertainment every night. Rum Boogie Cafe.
Good evening. Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee. Police have issued an all-points bulletin for a well-dressed young white man seen running from the scene. Officers also reportedly chased and fired on a radio-equipped car containing 2 white men. Dr. King was standing on the balcony of a second-floor hotel room tonight when, according to a companion, a shot was fired from across the street. In the friend's words, the bullet exploded in his face.
The National Civil Rights Museum opened today in Memphis, Tennessee, but instead of a ribbon-cutting ceremony, a chain symbolizing slavery was cut.
Recognizing the symbolic importance of the Lorraine Motel after Dr. King's death, the motel owner, Walter Bailey, preserved the room where Dr. King last stayed as a shrine to the civil rights hero. But in the years following the assassination, the motel struggled to remain.
Martin Luther King was assassinated here, room 306, where you see the red and white Reef. It was April 4th, 1968. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stood on the balcony in front of room 306 discussing that evening's sanitation strike meeting. Witnesses point out the source of the bullet.
And that motel is horrible. When Greg and I were going through Memphis, I'm like, can you believe that's where Dr. King was murdered? And he goes, what is that? I go, that's where he was murdered. They had a lot of problems.
So this was the room, the balcony in which Martin Luther King was assassinated here in downtown Memphis. I have a dream, Martin Luther King. So it's a very sad but historic location here in Memphis. Next, we're going to head on to Sun Studios, which was famously like the first studio, I believe, for rock and roll, or the home of rock and roll, and everybody from Elvis Presley, B.B. King, recorded there. A very small studio. I was there quite a few years ago, but I recall what it looks like exactly. And look, if I were to compare Nashville and Memphis, the atmosphere in Nashville is much happier. Memphis, it's like this invisible aggression or anger in the air. It's funny because I felt it. Damon and I split up, and when we got back to the car together, Damon's like, Nashville's a lot happier. So I don't know how else best to describe it. We're going to check out the studio, then we're going to get.
And Trev, you were talking about that. You're like, when you go to Nashville, there's a really happy vibe. And by the way, I'm not trashing on Memphis. I'm just making a point that they could have picked up any child in Memphis, but they happened to grab the one that, without parents' permission, that went first round.
Yeah, I mean, the odds are just not, it's not a probable situation.
No. He's got glasses on like Molly Golightly.
Yeah.
He's like Molly Golightly without blonde hair.
Continue to do a little drive through the more rural areas before jumping on the highway and heading towards New Orleans. So tell me, guys, if you've been to Memphis before, tell me what is it that you like the best about Memphis. So next time I come, I have destinations that I can visit, not simply the biggest tourist draws. What do they call them? Tourist traps.
All right, so we have an idea about that.
Yeah.
Now back to the conversation, because Leanne, we just took a little tour around Memphis together. Leanne and Sean, and I'm gonna tell you something right now. Their son SJ, he's been a real punk the last week. He's been on pretty much any channel that'll give him airtime, saying, "Oh, we saw this lawsuit coming. We saw this lawsuit coming." He's been asking where his money is. Well, then why didn't you do something about it then? It's his money.
Yeah, why didn't they open a bank account and put everything in it if they were looking after his well-being? If their story is they thought he didn't know how to look after money in that, then why isn't it all socked away somewhere for him? Why would they need it? Didn't they have money already?
Yeah. They own like some Taco Bell restaurants around there.
Right.
Nobody in Hollywood was knocking down their door saying, "Can we make a movie about your Taco Bell restaurants?"
And I bet a lot of people went to the Taco Bell after all of this came out, like the Blind Side movie. They would have thought, oh, that's those nice people that own those restaurants. Yeah. It doesn't sound very good for the poor man.
No. I mean, he's got like a 1% talent. A 1%. I mean, this is something. I mean, when you go to the NFL, even if you're the worst player in the league, you still have a 1% talent. You're an elite athlete. So why have they been propping themselves up all this time like they did it? Did they teach him how to run? Did they teach him how to back? I mean, what did they teach him exactly?
Well, now everything's suspect. So
Oh,
they
yeah.
gave him a stable home from 2004, I think, is when they signed that agreement. He thought he was getting adopted. That's just shameful. That just makes me sick to my stomach, those people. How could they do that?
Well, I think part of it has to do with Ole Miss because they're both big alumni there, and they wanted to make sure that school had the next big thoroughbred, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's what it seems like to me because they got in trouble for not considering other schools. It could only be Ole Miss, and that's it. And that's down in Oxford, Mississippi. And yes, it's a gorgeous school. I used to live there. Don't get me wrong, it's gorgeous. But his attorney wants a full accounting of the conservatorship. Every dime. And that would be a job for you.
Oh yeah, I'd love it. Love it. Oh yeah, they should. Like and did you just mention that they're getting royalties still?
Yep.
No, that's not right. That's just outright no.
Part of the complaint is that they've had millions in royalties. Trev is back. Trev, who was calling you?
Well, I was awaiting a call from a detective, but it was just a random call. But I have to check every time now because I don't know who's calling.
I gotcha. Hang on. One Love says you lived in Mississippi, Brooks. Yep, I used to. All right, so this is what they said when they went to the Windsor at Caesar's Palace.
Chance, and nobody gave him any value. And I guarantee if you look and turn around in your own school or your own, place of business, you have some too. And so that's what we're going to do. We're really going to challenge people to. My wife tells them to color outside the lines just a little bit. It's a non-comfort zone for people, but that's what we try to get them comfortable with that decision.
Is that easier said than done?
Well, she just yells at him.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, these guys are, as I say, they're on the front lines. I mean, they're out there fighting every day. They have these kids probably us attention more than parents do, and we want them to realize that look to the kid that isn't the good kid. Good kids, straight A students, they're going to be good kids and straight A students no matter what situation you put them in. Michael Orr ended up being a straight A student, but all he needed was someone to realize the value that he had. So I think what we would like teachers and educators to do is to realize that they need to be the ones to look around and really make the difference. They need to figure out, why is this kid shying away? Why is this kid bullying other kids? Why is this kid doing things that he shouldn't be doing? A lot of times it's because he wants attention, or he wants someone to say, hey, look at me, I can make a difference. So when we go into Boys and Girls Clubs and Big Sister, Little Sister programs, or organizations that work with kids and with teachers, we say, you know what we do? We like to reward the F student that pulls his grades up to a low C, because that kid is making an effort, and that's what we like to see.
Okay, but according to Michael Orr, who, as we know, has the talent, he said this is not true. He didn't have all Fs. And trust me, there are some football players out there, they have the talent, and they don't pay any attention to their studies. But they said nobody would give him any value. Here's the whole thing. When they found him, he was already college bound.
Yeah. I see what you mean, Brooks. Of them, what did they just luck out and find the only one out of all the kids walking around Memphis that happened to be a star football material?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, I think they are. What, Trev?
Sorry, I was just going to say, a lot of people are really good at football, but to be able to be unanimous All-American for college and then to be an NFL player is like next level of rarity. Like, you don't just find that by driving down the road in the middle of a snowstorm.
Yeah. Yeah, an athlete like that has to have all of the aspects. You have to, you have to know how to go home at night and rest. Like, it encompasses everything. You're just not good at football. A star athlete has to be exemplary in everything.
Yeah, you have to live it. It
Yeah.
has to be part of your life. Like, I went to school with a kid who is now playing D1 and I think has a chance to make the NFL. And I mean, he lives it. Like, it's not just he goes to practice and comes home. I mean, his nutrition, his discipline, his sleep, his time management, his heart. I mean, everything has to be put into it, or you don't excel to the point that you need to be one that makes the league and makes a college team like that.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't happen. And my middle son, he just went to University of Central Oklahoma to play college ball. And I mean, I just know what it was like when he was a high school football player. He knew it. We all knew it, that he wasn't going to go to the NFL. But I mean, that was strenuous. But they said, well, nobody would ever give him a chance.
And maybe they did give him a chance and they did help him out. But that doesn't mean you take away his rights at 18 years of age until he brings this up and he's 37 now. Like,
right,
if
just be honest.
You just don't do all of that. Maybe they did help him out. But that doesn't mean they get everything for the rest of his life.
Right, like, just be honest. Be like, we gave him a bedroom, gave him a vehicle, and we helped him out. We didn't adopt him. We weren't going to do all these things, but we helped him out. Those things still help him. But then when you do those couple things, but then act like you did a million other things, it just makes you out to be a liar.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Oh, I agree with that because, honestly, like we talked about in the last show, the one on the other channel, only the truth makes sense. So tell the truth. We didn't want this kid to blow his chance and throw his talent away because of some people that could get into his life. So we gave him a place to stay. We made sure his grades were good. We got him a vehicle. We pulled some strings to get him into Ole Miss. There was no strings needed because the Tennessee Volunteers wanted him. University of Alabama wanted him. Oklahoma Sooners wanted him. He had his pick of the litter. He went first round.
Right.
He didn't even get to pick what school he wanted to go.
Good for the ones making straight A's. They get plenty of attention and plenty of rewards down the road every single day. But there are those kids that are not making it or that are barely making it. And when you give them a little push and a little opportunity, all of a sudden they shine and they're making C's. And that's good for them. And they need to be, pulled up by the bootstraps and say, hey, you did a great job. You're doing a good thing. That's what we want these guys to do, is to realize that there's kids that they go, don't waste time on them. They're not going to make it. That's what they said about Michael. And we wasted a little time. And guess what? He made it, and he made it big. And there are Michael Orrs in every crack and cranny and crevice in this world.
Okay. Now, see, this statement of hers really bothers me. There are Michael Orrs. She never says, like Jen Bug says, she never says my son. There are Michael Orrs in every crook and cranny, as if they just found Aladdin in the lamp and cultivated this talent. He already had it. He was making crazy plays in second grade. Sonia Allen said, but they technically gave him nothing. He ended up paying for it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's your favorite football team, Pat?
Oh my God, don't ask me that. I've been to sports aren't that huge here in Ontario. Like football isn't. It's hockey. Of course, we get into the hockey. I did go see not a Super Bowl, whatever they have in Canada here. I did go to one of those games. And it was the Hamilton Rough Riders and somebody else. I don't know. I was like 15. And it was, I'm not interested in football. I have to say that. I don't understand when they throw the flag up and they do this and that. I don't know it. I know hockey. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, on this channel, because this channel's not monetized or anything, it's just kind of a goof off channel, and I've got the afternoon. Well, I've got until 2. And so I will stream some football games, Pat, and I guarantee, I converted Kat to a Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Really? Okay.
She's the only Kansas City Chiefs fan in the United Kingdom.
Okay. Well, I will watch it. You know, I'll sit back and I'll watch it, but I can't figure it out. So
I'll teach you.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Trev. But some of the guys are really cute. I have to say that. Some of these guys are cute.
Ooh, I'll tell you what, a friend named Sherry, and let me see, I'm 48, so she's pushing 62. She sounded like Hannibal Lecter talking about Travis Kelce. She goes, she was smoking a cigarette. She goes, I'd fuck him. I'm like, he could be your grandson. Damn, Sherry.
No shame.
Leanne, what do you think about the way you were portrayed in the movie?
Oh, she did. Everyone that was participating in the movie did a great job. They hung around, they shadowed us. You know, they did an exceptional job. So we were, for Hollywood not to screw something up is nothing short of a miracle, and they really nailed us. And I think it shows. You know, they spent time on it. They put a little effort into it. The cast of characters all did the same. They took pride in the story and the message, and they still are. And I think that's why the movie is still popular, if not more popular today.
Crazy, you can't turn the TV on, and that's good because you know, it's a good message. It seems to be an easy process where people aren't threatened by it, but they still accept it. But yeah, anytime you get a chance to look like Tim McGraw for about 4 months, it's not all bad.
If the movie is a true reflection of what happened, why do you think more people don't do this? I think there's an element of fear of people not wanting to get involved and not knowing what they're going to be faced with.
Well, you know, we drove through a tunnel yesterday to get to Windsor, and that's a big risk. People take it every day. They don't think about it. They don't get out and check the walls and check the tires and check the electrical. So we take risks every day. And what we tell people is that this is just another risk. It's just like driving over a bridge. It's just like, you know, something else you do. And you know, there is a saying, without risk, there's no reward. Well, we like to think that also. Now, what we tell people is you better watch out because you're going to get so much more out of it that you're going to want to do it again. And then you're going to want to be like us and tell everyone about it. And so if you're not interested in being happier than you were yesterday, then don't do it. And what we tell people is just a little bit out of your comfort zone. And we think that's a good thing.
And I hate to say it, but I put a lot of blame on you guys. The
That's
news
your fault.
tends
That's
to do
your habit.
nothing but portray the bad, the bad, the bad. And we do this several times a week, and there are great people around this world doing wonderful things and making a difference. We don't talk about that. All we talk about is the crap that's going on, who did this bad thing, who did that. And people go, oh my gosh, I've got to lock my door, stay in my house, and not get out.
That's called public awareness, Leanne. So if there's a shooting in a neighborhood, that's what they report. You see, they have 30 minutes. Actually, they have about a good 18 because of commercials and advertising. Go ahead and call them tragedy pimps over there on the news to tell you what's going on around you.
Yeah. And can I just say something about what she just said? She said, oh, Hollywood got it right for the first time. So they portrayed that you adopted him.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big lie.
No, it's fine. This is the sub channel, hun. Do whatever you want to do. This is
It's a big fucking lie. That is horrible for her to say that. And they just took his rights away. That's all they did. They took away everything legally from him that they had to be the ones to say yay or nay. And there's nothing wrong with him. And then also in the petition that they pulled up or that he's submitting, it also quotes in there that they waived the Leiden, what do you call it? You know, the person that looks after the child.
The guardian ad litem?
Yes, they waived it. So no one spoke to him about this. No one.
And so here he is, and he signs it thinking he's being adopted.
Yes.
But what he didn't know is they were going to negotiate on his behalf.
And keep all his money.
Yeah, why not say, you know, look, we didn't want this kid who's amazingly talented throwing it away. Memphis is a dangerous town. We already knew his mom had problems. Probably never knew his dad because of the situation, she was in. And so we wanted to, help him cultivate his skills.
Yes, and explain to him, okay, we've done that, but nobody explained it to him. They waived the right to have that person there, that Leiden person.
Well, and I hate to use trigger words, but this is kind of like modern day slavery.
Well, it is. It's disgusting. I've never even heard of these conservatorships until, frankly, the Britney Spears. And when I heard this, it's like, what? Why? Why would they do that?
Well, Britney Spears, I understood. I wasn't part of the Free Britney movement. She obviously had some stuff going on.
She did. She had 2 kids, and she had a rich, famous husband. But still, I don't think it needs to go on for 10, 20, 30 years. Like, look at this guy. They could have said at 25 years of age, okay, you're making good money or whatever. Like, you just don't take away his rights. And then why should they get royalties on the movie or the book anyway?
It's not your story. I mean, or they should take just a percentage. The majority should go to him. They wrote a book and said, we split it 5 ways. Why would Collins and SJ get shit? They were just living under the same roof.
Yeah. I'd like a full accounting of where every cent went to.
Well, and that's what his attorney is asking for. And this is actually worse than a lawsuit because they have to bring in a forensic accountant to go through everything to account for. I mean, you would love this, Pat.
Oh, yeah. I spent 2 years. I spent 2 years with a forensic accounting to get a court case together. 2 years. 8 hours a day. But we did it. Yeah.
And you know what? They're isolated incidents. There are great people, great cities, great moments, and they're happening every single day, and we're missing them. And if people would see that 24/7, they'd open their windows and throw up a sash and go, man, let's get out and see what we can do today. Let's figure out we can make a difference. I mean, I turned around the night before last in a parking lot. Not last night? I can't remember. 10:30. We're going home in Memphis, which is as bad as, we're ranked up there in the top 5 bad of everything. Fattest, biggest, killingest, whatever. Those statistics and there was a family, a mother with 4 small kids. And I thought, what's the deal? And Sean and SJ were following me, and we flipped the car around, and she had to go way downtown, couldn't get a bus. And I did put SJ in the car with me just because I thought, he could entertain them with 4 small kids. And I said, don't care if you sing camp songs or entertain these. And she needed a ride home. And I just thought, how many people passed by and all this lady needed was a ride. She cried the entire way. She thanked us profusely. Leave her a ride. She wasn't going to kill me. She didn't have a gun in her bag. Bruce Willis wanted to hop out of the trunk and have to save me. I mean, it's just, we just have these grandiose ideas of how.
But she didn't pick her up. She's like, well, I thought SJ could entertain the 4 kids. She didn't pick her up. But she picked up Michael Orr, who was on his way to going to the NFL and winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
If you have to tell the world you're a good person, you may not be the best person.
Yeah. Yeah. Quit tooting your own horn.
For sure. The minute someone tells me how Christian they are, or they talk about someone's religion, I'm like, I'm out of here. I mean, really, I'm just like, you really need to tell me? I mean, your character should show me. It should shine through. Don't tell me.
Yeah, right.
You live your character.
Sorry, Trev, we have a lag here. Say that again.
Sorry, I was just saying you live your character. Like, you are what you are. So if you're a kind person, then you're a kind person. You don't have to tell me you're a kind person. You should be one.
Exactly. 100%.
And I mean, he did win a Super Bowl with the help of, other players, and they were right there, and they made sure to promote the book The movie, the whole 9 yards.
Blindside has an impossibly happy ending. ABC's Steve Osunsami on a big football star, the woman who adopted him, and the dream they didn't even dare to dream.
It was a powerful moment.
We just both, darted for each other, and he picked me up.
This picture of an emotional Leanne Toohey hugging her adopted son, Big Mike, who some neighbors felt that she and her family should have never taken in.
He was just so excited, and I was just sobbing. I was absolutely sobbing.
And now he's a...
Okay, so this is on ABC, American Broadcasting Company, saying that their adopted son.
Yeah, well, now everybody will know.
And Michael has heard this for years, that he was adopted. And now
he thought he had parents.
Yeah.
And no, you didn't have parents. They just took away your legal rights to things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the poor man. It's disgusting.
Super Bowl champion.
No dreams do come true.
Theirs is the true story behind the film The Blind Side.
Need a proper hug.
Where Sandra Bullock won an Oscar for her portrayal of a white mother who reached past her comfort zone to lift up a young black teenager from a broken home.
This team is your family, Michael. You have to protect them from those guys.
The actress had seats at the game and dressed her adopted son in Orr's jersey. Today, on their drive back home to Memphis, the real Leanne told us she loves Michael just as much as her biological children, who joined the whole family last night.
Families don't have to match. You don't have to look like someone else to love them. The thing that needs to be addressed here is that there are wonderful kids all over this country and this world that want a forever family. And we believe that there are no unwanted kids. They're just unfound families.
His parents tell us they're so proud, and it's so very special seeing one of their children achieving his dream. Steve Osunsami, ABC News, New York.
Yeah. Deborah Wallace said that he just realized they never adopted him. He didn't know until February of 2023.
Well, it's like why should you have to check? Like, it's sad that you would have to even question that. Like, my mom was adopted at 10 days old from India. And I asked her yesterday, I was like, how often have you gone back and checked the documentation? Like the adoption paperwork? You don't. You have been raised up as being adopted by this family that took care of you. Why would you believe anything else?
Yeah, exactly. Especially when they do a movie and a book about it.
Yeah, the whole world praises them for it. You're gonna believe it when everybody's like, "They're such good people. They adopted this kid. Wow, they really were good to me." Like,
and the concept of what they're talking about is, yes, it is true. It would be great if more people took in, foster kids and this and that. So the concept, I don't fault them for, but now you wonder where no, it's messed up.
Oh, Fun to Ski said, bet they followed Max Prep Sports and the Booster Club needed sponsors. See, I think they picked him out. I don't think it was just random because he already said this is not what happened.
Right.
And he's been wanting to know, like, where's my money from the movie? That movie grossed $330 million. People get it from Netflix, Hulu. It plays all the time, and they get royalties from it. They've got millions. But according to Sean, they've only got like $14,000. So you're such smart business people, but you negotiated his life for almost nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what they actually got him to sign. He did not sign adoption papers.
If you've spent time on the internet lately, you've probably come across #FreeBritney. It's a loosely defined movement that has rallied around pop star Britney Spears and brought attention to a little-known area of the law, conservatorships. A conservatorship is a legal arrangement in which a court determines that a person is unable to make his or her own decisions and gives another person the ability and duty to make personal or financial decisions. Once imposed, it can be hard for the person subject to a conservatorship to reverse it, leaving room for abuse. Authorities have recently begun to focus on the issue, and changes in the law are currently being debated. We're eForms, the largest online database of fillable legal forms. In this video, we'll take a look at conservatorships, how they work, what the possible issues are, and what fixes might be on the horizon. First, a bit of terminology. Traditionally, conservatorships relate to financial matters, while guardianships cover the ability to make personal decisions. But law in this area varies from state to state, and many states use the terms differently. In California, for example, conservatorships are for adults, while guardianships are for minors. Protected person or person subject to conservatorship is the preferred term for the person deemed incapable of making decisions, but you may also see terms like ward used in some states. How do conservatorships work? The conservatorship process begins when someone petitions a court to have another party be deemed incompetent. Although this decision will usually feature input from doctors or other medical personnel, it is ultimately a legal question and up to a court to decide. If the court finds the protected person incompetent, the next step is to appoint a conservator or guardian. This person then has both the duty and the ability to make decisions for the protected person. Once this happens, the protected person loses many important rights. The right to make financial decisions, but also other rights, including, in some states, the right to vote. What are the issues associated with this? Conservatorships are intended to protect people who can't protect themselves, and in many cases, that's how they work. A good conservator, for example, can prevent a protected person from being swindled by a con artist. The power dynamics of conservatorships, however, leave room for predatory relationships. Britney Spears, for example, has been in a conservatorship for 13 years. During that time, she's created hit records, performed hundreds of shows, and sold millions of dollars worth of concert tickets. Doing all of these things might suggest that she's competent to manage her affairs, but ending the conservatorship has proved difficult. Most of the people at risk from predatory conservatorships are not as wealthy or famous as Spears. Elder abuse presents a special concern for conservatorships because there is often little monitoring or follow-up of conservators once they're appointed. Is the law around conservatorships changing? Changes are definitely under consideration. The National Commission on Uniform State Law has created a model law to address conservatorships, guardianships, and related areas of the law, which contains many fixes recommended by experts. So far, however, only 2 states, Maine and Washington, have adopted it. Again, the law in this area varies considerably from state to state, but there are smaller measures being considered that could make the...
My question is how in Tennessee did they present this before a judge and get it signed when there was nothing wrong with him?
Yeah. What did they present? And that may never be found. Because back in 2004, who knows where the actual records are, but and they waived that Leiden person to be representing him.
Yeah.
Like
See, I
it
want to
doesn't-
a clean thing. Like, I'm not saying there was any kind of dirty going on, but if they were of all that money and had this idea, who knows if there wasn't somebody that was helping them to get this kind of pushed along.
Yeah, exactly.
A clerk or a judge or somebody that they knew. I mean, a
Yeah.
little bit will get you a file put somewhere it probably shouldn't be, or a paper destroyed, or I mean, that's all it takes.
Yeah.
And
And-
honestly, when he went to the NFL, I think that was the rush on the movie to put that out in front of everyone to make it look like he had learning disabilities because they knew this was going to be found out.
Very sad. Very sad.
You know, and he's been mad about the movie for years. I mean, Holly Weird is not going to go and edit it and be like, oh no, actually he was fine the whole time. I mean, they weren't going to do that because it was making so much money, but he's been over it for years.
Yeah.
And a player for the Carolina Panthers that many of us know more for his backstory from the 2009 mega hit movie, The Blind Side.
That's right. Since then, there have been many reports that Michael Oher was not happy with how he was portrayed in that movie. But is it true? The Insider's Debbie Matenopoulos has more from Los Angeles.
Yeah, Rick and Rutabaga, 7 years later, Oher's family, the Tuohys, are setting the record straight with us.
I think he's just tired of it. You know, he's 29 years old and they're wanting him to talk about when he was 16. You know, he's been through a Super Bowl. He thinks that's probably more interesting than a movie that's been out for 7 years.
Sean and Leanne Tuohy dismissing comments that their adopted son, Michael Oher, the subject of The Blind Side, hates the Oscar-winning movie.
It's mine.
Yes, sir.
Never had one before.
What, a room to yourself?
A bed.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that will pull something negative out, but the message of the movie is continued to this day to make a difference in the lives of so many people.
No, he said he can't stand the movie because it's a lie, but he didn't even know about the conservatorship.
Yeah.
And for that, we're very humbled.
But, you know, doesn't mean that Michael needs to talk about it.
Monday at Super Bowl Media Day, Kelty asked the 6'4" offensive tackle what he would tell that young man.
You know, just be calm, you know, enjoy the moment and, you know, just, you know, take it all in.
Here, Panther Blue rules. From the front door to the bling to the fingertips.
We've got spirit fingers on. We're going to look like a parade float coming into the stadium.
And Leanne, who's taking a break from promoting her latest motivational book, Turnaround, will be wearing something extra special.
When Mama asked if she could have his real jersey to wear to the Super Bowl from last weekend, he said, I can sneak one out for you.
Win or lose, Leanne expects to lose it, literally.
Well,
She cries every time he comes out of anytime they announce the offense. Starting offensive lineman, number 73 from Ole Miss, Michael Oher. You can pan right over to her, just waterworks. She said something about the smoke. No, she cries every time.
I do. I'm a crybaby, and to see, you know, here's your child living a dream out, it just makes you cry.
She's a very proud mama, and she has every reason to be. Rick and Rutabaga, back to you.
All right, thank you. That was sweet. And for more of the Super Bowl.
But if he's done with it and doesn't want to talk about it and says this is not what happened, then they're like, oh, I think he's just tired of it. And I'm like, no, that's not it. He doesn't like how he's been portrayed. He doesn't like the lies.
Well, I'd like to hear his whole story, his whole side. I really would.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
And basically, that's just going to be presented in court.
Yes.
Well, there's going to be a legal fallout because, I mean, what attorneys are saying on TV is this is worse than a lawsuit.
To yesterday, shall we? Because I think this surprised a whole lot of people. Football star Michael Oher, who's like inspired the Love Free, The Blind Side, Sandra Bullock, with two allegations. It was tricked by the couple who took him in, Leanne and Sean Tuohy. In court documents filed on Monday, Oher's lawyers alleged the Tuohys claimed that the family adopted the young athlete. That those claims aren't true. Instead, they say Oher was tricked into a conservatorship back in 2004, giving the Tuohys full authority over his life. In a petition to terminate the conservatorship, Oher backed up allegations that the Tuohys signed away the rights to his life story, despite The Blind Side making more than $330 million. Oher claims he never saw a dime of it. Now as News Nation legal contributor, Jesse Weber. Jesse, I think a lot of people probably echo my sentiment when I say I was so saddened by this headline yesterday. I just watched this movie again a couple weekends ago. But I have to start with this. Oher's lawyers say that he just found out the adoption was fake a few months back. How is that possible at 37 years old?
Yeah, Marky, first let me just say, I watched this movie like about a year ago. I love the story. It really upset me when I saw this. So there's a part of me that hopes this is all not true. But if this is true, there's a couple of things to point out. So your first question, why is he only finding out about this now? That's a great question. Well, according to him, he's been playing football for such a long time that only after his career ended and he started to do a recap of his finances and where his life was at, did he realize that he was not actually a part of the Tuohy family. He hadn't been adopted, but was part of this conservatorship. Now, if this is true, and by the way, this is his account of what ultimately happened, I would be very curious to hear what the Tuohy's response is going to be.
Yep.
But if this is true, if he is part of a conservatorship and they did this essentially behind his back or through tricking him, I can't imagine a court allowing this to continue. Conservatorships, as we saw in the Britney Spears case, are really about taking care of somebody who can't take care of themselves. There's nothing that I've seen that indicates that Michael Oher is not in a position to take care of himself or he has some sort of disability that will require a conservatorship. If this was done for the sole purpose of taking money away from him and having those profits go to the family, that is really bad. And a court would look at that and essentially end the conservatorship and make sure there's a full accounting that goes back to him for any profits that went to the family.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing too, just one more note on his side, is that this new petition claims that Tuohy's told him that a conservatorship would be effectively the same as an adoption. So it sounds like he heard that word somewhere long ago, but didn't realize that it wasn't a full adoption. It sounds like he didn't look into it until just recently. How did the Tuohys, though, keep this under wraps, or at least let the perception that they were the adoptive parents go on for so long? And could they face even more legal fallout because of that, letting this story play out for all of us to watch for so many years?
That is a great question. Now, obviously, they could go out into the media and say, sure, we're the adopted parents of Michael, or that's fine. If they somehow misled the studio into believing the story, I wonder if there could be any kind of civil action that the studio would take against them if they, suffer any kind of recourse. But from a criminal point of view or any kind of other point of view there, if they made any false statements to the government saying that they were the adopted parents, that's when they could find themselves in legal jeopardy. Now,
And there you go. Thank you. You can't touch anything in the US of A without the IRS having their hands in it. So if they claimed the whole time, and they have claimed this entire time they adopted him, they're making money from royalties, books, and part of the lawsuit is to not use his name anymore. You know how bad that's going to sting, Pat?
Yeah. Well, it's his right. It's his right to say that's it. If this is what you were doing all those years, don't use my name anymore to promote your book or to promote whatever else you're doing. And a full accounting. That bugs me. No,
Yeah.
they should do a movie about him finding out about this.
That's probably coming up. I think Walking Dead said it. I see a Netflix series coming soon.
Yeah, Blindside #2.
Blindsided by the side.
Right.
Usually with conservatorships, there has to be open communication and continued communication with the court. Was that happening? Was that happening behind Michael Oher's back? And then there's this side question of what did he sign during the course of all these years that he wasn't aware of? So there are a lot of unanswered questions and a lot of holes that need to be filled. I'm assuming the Tuohys are going to have a good response for this and explain what happened, because otherwise they are really looking like the villains in all this.
And I'm running out of time, Jesse, but I do have to squeeze in one more question. Oher claims the rights to his life story were sold. He hasn't seen a dollar of it. The Tuohys got money. Their two biological children profited off the movie. What has to happen for him to see what he says he deserves from the film?
Well, trying to invalidate this conservatorship, saying that when he signed it over, I don't remember what age he was, but if he was over 18 and assuming he would have been adopted, he would have had the legal right to enter into those contracts and to receive that money. So the age of it, when it happened, and validating the conservatorship and trying to suggest that maybe he was led under false pretenses or signed something he didn't know what he was signing, that's his best avenue to see some money from the film.
Okay, and all of this happening as his new book is hitting store shelves. Jesse Weber.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of comments like that saying, oh, this is happening as his new book is coming out. Well, of course it is. That's how attorneys do things. We're not new to life.
Yeah. And whose new book are they talking about? The woman's?
No, his.
Oh, his.
Yep. So the Today Show this morning said that the family is fighting back. They said that he's been trying to shake them out of money for years. Well, it's his money.
Exactly. What's the problem? Pay them back for room and board for however many months he lived with them. Like, give them that amount of money. Or obviously they've already got it. And everything else is not theirs. It's like my parents saying, okay, you got a job now and you pay me your money for the rest of your life. I don't think so.
No. No, they said that he tried to shake him down for $15 million. He's probably owed that.
Very possible.
Winning film The Blind Side, now on Defense.
Do you have any place to stay tonight? Don't you dare lie to me. Come on.
After former NFL player Michael Orr filed a lawsuit against them, claiming he was lied to and exploited for their financial gain. But the Tuohy family is flipping the script. In a statement to NBC News, their attorney alleges Orr previously threatened them in an attempted shakedown, saying he would plan a negative story about them in the press unless they paid him $15 million. In an interview Monday promoting his new book, Orr did not address the lawsuit, but expressed some frustration with how he was portrayed.
When I moved in with the Tuohy's family, who I'm grateful for letting me stay my senior year there. But you have to understand, and I was an All-American football player before I moved in with him.
Okay, this statement is very important. I'm going to put that on the screen. He was there for a year before he went to college. When I moved in with the Tuohy family, who I'm grateful for letting me stay my senior year there, but you have to understand, he was already an All-American football player. Before I moved in with them. See, he would have gone to the NFL with or without them.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like.
And it seems to me that they have discounted his talent and discounted his intelligence this entire time.
Totally. Doing that thing.
All-American football player before I moved in with him.
Do you want to stay here, Michael?
Just as the film depicts, Orr describes in new court documents how he was on his own in high school and nearly penniless. He says in 2004, just before his senior year, the Tuohys invited him to live with them, eventually discussing adoption. Orr claims he was tricked into signing documents he believed were a necessary step in the adoption process. But just 6 months ago, he says he learned he was never adopted. Instead, Sean and Leanne Tuohy became his conservators. In an interview with the Daily Memphian, Sean Tuohy said the conservatorship was a way to secure Orr's NCAA eligibility to play college football, saying lawyers advised, "We couldn't adopt over the age of 18. The only thing we could do was to have a conservatorship."
Okay, this was something said on the Memphis News. According to Sean Tuohy, if he didn't have parents, he couldn't go to college there. Tell it to Adrian Peterson. His daddy was in jail and hadn't seen his mom in 7 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to order his book. Maybe I'll get it tomorrow and read it by tomorrow night.
Gotta be kidding me. So this is what they're saying, that they were advised by an attorney that the NCAA wouldn't let him go to college unless he had a mom and dad at home. Have you watched sports lately?
Orr claims the Tuohys used their power as his conservators to give away the rights to his life story without him receiving any payment, while they profited. Now he wants the money he believes he's owed. The family denies the accusations.
How come we're not eating at one of your restaurants tonight? Well, because tonight is a special occasion.
Sean Tuohy built and sold a successful restaurant empire. His attorney saying the notion that a couple worth hundreds of millions of dollars would connive to withhold a few $1,000s in profit participation payments from anyone, let alone from someone they loved as a son, defies belief.
loved as a son, why don't they love him anymore?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'd like to hear. Yeah, I'd like to see this court case. They've denied it, but they haven't said anything more. Very easy to say I deny it. Oh, well, why? Give me your reasons. Let's see the proof that you paid him any money.
How can the person that the whole movie is about not get a penny, but they say in the book we split it 5 ways. The attorney says we want a full accounting of the conservatorship. All of it.
Yeah.
Michael Oher's petition to the court asks for an end to the conservatorship. The Tuohy's attorney says should Mr. Oher wish to terminate the conservatorship either now or at any time in the future, the Tuohy's will never oppose it in any way. They add the family hopes they can someday be reconciled with Oher, but they will not hesitate to defeat what they call an offensive lawsuit. Guys.
All right. Thank you so much, Kaylee. Let's bring in NBC senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett. First of all, this is just a all-around kind of sad.
Yes.
It's super sad. And I can't believe that Sean Tuohy, when he gave his statement to the Memphis News, he said, well, if he wants to end the conservatorship, no problem. But that's not what he's saying. Okay.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I want my money.
Yeah. Which he is entitled to.
Yeah.
Bummer of a story, but let's talk about what the Tuohy said. They said that their only choice was to have a conservatorship because he was too old to adopt. So is that what you see as the case?
And under Tennessee law, that makes sense. But also, usually a conservatorship, everyone remembers this from the debacle with Britney Spears and her father. The whole point is somebody who is not in a position to take care of their finances. So it's either someone who's underage or, sort of impaired in some way. Now, it's not clear that at 37 years old, he needs to still have the conservatorship. And if they're not contesting it, the judge is probably going to let them out of it. The issue is whether he should be entitled to some sort of back pay or money, because he's saying that they made a lot of money off of his likeness and using his image. But again, it's just not clear that he's going to be able to get any remedy from that.
But Laura, what about this idea that Michael Oher, his claim that he didn't even know he was part of this conservatorship for 20 years. Does a judge or a jury buy that?
I think that's going to be tough for him. It's just after 20 years, the idea that you didn't know that you can enter into any contracts. Clearly, he was playing in the NFL. He was entering into a lot of different deals. And so I think it's going to be hard. It's going to be a tough road to be able to prove that.
Well, Dum Dum here doesn't understand that part of the conservatorship is they were over all his contracts.
That's right.
Also, in the NFL, you have agents. He didn't have an adoption agent. In the NFL, they work through all of your contractual obligations. You just decide where you want to go, and if that's okay with you, you sign it. It's a lot different than an adoption.
And in the NFL, the sports agents, they just tell you where to show up, and this is what you're going to get paid. If not, you're going to go coach high school football. That's it.
Yeah.
So the legal correspondent should have called me. I think it comes down to money. Isn't that the bottom line, and whether he can get any?
And I think they have a pretty good argument that, look, they're wealthy. They made a lot of money, not from this movie at all, but through their restaurant deals. And so did they need 40 grand from the movie?
What about that bit that said that he originally tried to get 15 million from them beforehand, before this whole thing came
And
to
I
light?
think that that's going to be a tough fact. If that's true, and the Tuohys can prove that in court, I think that's going to be really tough for him.
Okay. All right, Laura, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
And to your point, though, the whole thing, the back and forth is just
disappointing.
Hey, thanks.
My goodness.
Yep. My goodness.
Why do they keep saying 40 grand? That movie made a lot of money.
Well, I mean, that movie made $330 million, but not all of it went straight to the Tuohys. You have to pay the studio, the producers, the insurance, the director. I mean, the stagehands, the actors. I mean, basically everybody that showed up, but they're still getting royalties from it. And so they negotiated a contract for them, not him. So this is the original story that came out on CBS.
For former NFL player Michael Orr, the truth blindsided him when he says he learned his family was not legally his own. In a lawsuit filed in Tennessee Monday, Orr alleges that when he was 18, he was tricked into signing legal papers as part of the adoption process. Last February, he says he learned they were conservatorship papers, granting Leanne Toohey and Sean Toohey guardianship, which means, quote, ultimate control of all his contracts, while providing him no familial relationship with the Tooheys. But now Orr is suing to end the conservatorship, bar the Tooheys from using his name and likeness, and what he says is a share of the money they earned from his story.
We want to know if you would like to become part of this family.
Kind of thought I already was.
Orr's remarkable tale was portrayed in the hit Oscar-winning movie The Blind Side.
You protect his blind side. When you look at him, you think of me.
The then teen, who had an unstable home life, was taken in by Leanne Toohey, played by Sandra Bullock, and her family before starring in college football and the NFL, the film earning more than $300 million. But the petition states Orr received no compensation for the film, quote, that would not have existed without him. Meanwhile, the Tooheys and their children allegedly received hundreds of thousands of dollars. Orr has long questioned his portrayal in the film.
I think it took away the hard work and the dedication that I created from a child, and going to school in the 3rd grade, getting myself up. First one in the locker room, last one out. And I think the biggest for me is, being portrayed, not being able to read or write.
The Tooheys have continued to publicly refer to Orr as their adopted son. Attorney and conservatorship expert Christopher Melcher.
In these conservatorship abuse cases, there's a position of trust where one adult gives over this power to the other adult, believing that they have their best interests at heart, or not even understanding what they're signing. He was an adult at that time. There's no reason for him to have to surrender those rights.
Now, CBS News has reached out to the Toohey family. We've not yet heard back, but Sean Toohey told the Daily Memphian newspaper that the allegations are, quote, insulting. He says the family didn't make much money off the movie and that the family is devastated by this lawsuit. He also added that he would end the conservatorship if that's what Orr wants. And we should say, Michael said in a statement, quote, I will let the lawsuit speak for itself and will offer no further comment. But a real
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, because he's got a whole law firm saying we're just going to let this play out. But for you to say, "Oh, we'll just get rid of it right now," that to me, that's why didn't you get rid of it when he retired from the NFL? Why didn't you get rid of it when you when he was drafted into the NFL? Why didn't you get rid of it when he won a Super Bowl? Why didn't you get rid of it when he had to change teams?
That's right.
Sorry, Pat.
No, I was just going to say that's right. Is it possible they didn't want to bring it to light because then he would realize way back then that he was not adopted? It's disgusting.
Or they didn't want to bring it to light for him to know that not only did we not adopt you, we've been in control of your shit all this time.
That's right.
And when he speaks for himself, he was just like, they're saying I can't read and write. He was like, they're saying basically when they met me, all of a sudden I became a football player. I've been working on this since I was like 6 years old.
Yeah.
Well, see, I think they've got a bad case. I think he's got a good case because his claim was that they only got the conservatorship because that's how he'd get into college, right? Or he'd be able to play. So if that was your real reason, then why didn't you end it the second that he was leaving college? The day that they said he's declaring for the draft and he's done in college football, you end it then, because the purpose, according to you, for it is now over. He got to go to college, so now it should not be a thing anymore, because the only reason you got it was so he'd be eligible for college, right?
Right. Yeah.
But you left it in forever. So that point, how are you going to explain to a judge, yeah, it was only for this purpose, but we actually just left it in forever?
Yeah. Yeah.
Seastar said, all this time I did think he was slow. I had no idea. Yeah.
I'm the same way. I thought he must have been a bit slow. I did. That's sort of how I came away from the movie thinking, oh, these people saved him.
Yeah. I thought he was like, you know, like a Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Rock and Rolla said Trev could be a lawyer. Well, we know Pat's an accountant, and I would love for her to do this forensic accounting. But hey, this has been a great show. I'm so glad when we can get together on our other channel and discuss stuff that's not exactly a crime.
Yeah. No, it was very nice. Thank you for having me up. It's great chatting again with you, Trev, and everybody in chat. I can't see chat when I'm up here, so I can't comment on anything. But thank you, Brooks. It was fun.
Always fun time with you, Pat. Always a fun time with you, Trev. Always a fun time with you guys. AD said, well, now the movie is ruined for me. I know.
Oh, I want to watch it again. I want to see it again.
Sandra Bullock's going to go and make Speed 6. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow on the other channel. I'm making things way too confusing because I'm going to do a show about Summer Wells. I'm a glutton for punishment, but it's got to be done tomorrow. So I'll see you guys over in Discord or in one of the Facebook groups.
Okay.
Good night, guys.